As-salatu was-salam ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Inshallah, in today's talk, we will talk about the topic of Ijtihad. And within Ijtihad, in today's talk, this is the part 3, if you want to call it, of the topic of Ijtihad. Let me share the slides. Just let me know if you can see the slides or not. Can you see the slides? Okay. So today is the third talk on the subject. And in today's talk, inshallah, we will talk about basically the differences of opinions. But within that, there are two main topics, and third one is just, so we'll talk about what is a madhab and some examples of madahib. Then we'll go dig in a little bit more detail in the reasons of difference of opinions that exist among the mujtahideen. And then the last topic will be how to deal with difference of opinions. So, inshallah, each one except the first top one, which is a very small, it's just one slide. I'll talk about it, examples and stuff, but the rest of the stuff is a bit more detail. So we'll see if we can finish all three, or it depends on the time, I may break it after the reasons of difference of opinions, and we can discuss the difference of how to deal with it next week. But I'll try to finish it today, inshallah. Okay, now when it comes to the madhab, the word madhab means the school of fiqh, and we'll talk about some of the reasons of existence of the madahib, which means the different ijtihadat in the later coming slides. I want to make sure that we understand that because a lot of us who are from Indian subcontinent background, for us madhab means actually deen, and this is not what we are talking about. Madhab in Arabic, when we talk about that, it means a school of fiqh, a school of thought, and so on and on. Like examples of those madahib is just a plural of madhab, is like a Hanafi school of thought, al-madhab al-Hanafi. And the founder of this madhab, if you want to call it, or it's based off the principles or usul al-fiqh done by Imam Abu Hanifa and Nu'man bin Thabit. So this is the four very famous ones. Similarly, Maliki school of thought, and that's on the basis of that school of thought is the usul al-fiqh of al-Imam Malik bin Anas. And the third famous one is Shafi'i school of thought, which is, of course, by Imam Shafi'i. His name was Imam Abu Abdullah Muhammad bin Idris al-Shafi'i. And the fourth one is a Hanbali school of thought, and it was based off the principles set by Imam Abu Abdullah Ahmad bin Muhammad bin Hanbal al-Shaybani. And in general, we hear about four major schools of thought, especially in the Sunni Islam. But of course, there are others. Like for example, among the Shia, it's Jafari school of thought or Zaydi school of thought. And besides that, these were not the only ones that existed or exist. In general, these are the ones which are quite a bit written about, and you find many of the followers of these schools of thoughts because they had some famous students who continued, and they wrote details about their teachers, and hence we see the books written on them and the followers of these schools of thoughts. Otherwise, there were many other scholars who had their own schools of thought, if you want to call it, because they had their own principles of usul al-fiqh, like al-Awza'i, al-Hasan al-Basri, Sufyan al-Thawri, Ibn Jarir al-Tabri, and Layth, and on and on and on. So there used to be many, and unfortunately, because of today, the decline in understanding of Islam, we ended up with just those, and we follow that. But another thing that to remember that is when we say, and I have said this many times before in the past as well. So when you hear this term, an opinion is a Hanafi opinion, it does not necessarily mean, I'm saying it does not necessarily mean that it is from Imam Abu Hanifa. Only it means is, it is based off the usul al-fiqh, or the principles of the fiqh that was set by Imam Abu Hanifa and his students, for example, or later on, anybody who was following those principles and while extracting the rules, hence that opinion would be considered as a Hanafi opinion. So to be clear, Hanafi opinion means that it is just based off Abu Hanifa's set, Rahimahullah's Usul al-Fiqh. And not does necessarily means that it is from Imam Abu Hanifa directly. And same goes for the Shafi'i and Hanbali and the Maliki and even Ja'fari and on and on. So that's about the madhab and the madhahib, what it means. Now, what are the reasons for difference of opinions? So the reasons of different opinion among the mujtahideen include, so there may be more, but this is the main list of the things that can cause the differences of opinions. Inshallah, I'll go one by one, and not too much of a detail, but enough for us to at least get an idea. So we know that why the differences of opinions exist, and inshallah, then we'll talk about how to deal with them as well. Now, so for first level, we'll talk about will be differences in legislative sources, like Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, Sahaba, and Qiyas, and which ones you are following. Then that can cause the differences of opinions as well. Now, so the second one will be differences in the interpretation of the text itself, which includes a literalist or the ones who go into deeper meanings of the text. And then the third one is differences in methodology of the usul al-fiqh, and that can cause many other differences as well. And then differences in understanding of the Arabic language itself. Okay, so these are the four ones, inshallah, about the reasons of differences of opinions among mujtahideen. And mujtahideen, we already talked about the word mujtahid is the word person who does the ijtihad, who exerts all the effort to understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, and ends up with the opinion about certain reality. Okay, and the mujtahid is the person who does that. Mujtahideen is just a plural of the word mujtahid. Okay, now when it comes to differences in legislative sources, this is the first. Within that, there is a subcategory which is called criteria in evaluating the sunnah. Sunnah means here the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now, for example, if a scholar he has a different criterion of looking at the hadith of evaluating, he may end up with a different opinion. It does not happen all the time. Don't think that everything has a difference of opinion. No, this is we're talking about. First of all, this does not difference of opinion cannot happen in the issues which are definite. There is no difference of opinions about those issues because they are qat'i. Qat'i means the meanings cannot have more than one meaning, and the source is only one. A source is authentic. Now we're talking about here is when we talk about one of the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that discusses that led to the different opinions, and this is about the zakah on the jewelry of that women wear. The hadith actually says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Anas bin Amr bin Suhaib, he mentions a hadith from his father, who from his grandfather, says that two women came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they each had a bracelet of gold on their forearms. So he said to them, "Have you paid their zakah?" They said no. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to them, "Would you like for Allah to fashion them into two bracelets of fire?" They said no. He said, "Then pay its zakah." This hadith is reported by Tirmidhi. Now, I mean, if you just look at the hadith, and this is another thing that we really have to be careful about. Sometimes we think of it, or we read the hadith, that's it. We know the meaning of the hadith, and we know how to extract the ruling, and that's it. We're good to go. This is not how it works. So we have to understand the context of it. We have to understand the authenticity of the hadith, and so on and on. So here in this case, A'imma, they differ in looking at the hadith and the authenticity of the hadith. Some of them, they do not consider this hadith is strong. This is a weak hadith for them. And there are many of those scholars who think of that way. So, that includes Imam Shafi'i, for example, or Aisha bint Abi Bakr, and Umar bin Abdul Aziz, and on and on. There are quite a few of the people who have this opinion. So they do not consider this hadith is strong enough. They consider this hadith is weak. Hence, they do not accept this hadith, and they say that it is not. There is no zakah on the jewelry that women wear. And then there's a more detail on the subject. I'm not going into the detail of that, why they consider the hadith as weak, or and why the others consider no, it's acceptable. I'm just trying to show here how the differences of opinions happen. And again, in today's talk, is the purpose is not to now take every opinion and go into detail of different opinions and you expect me to give, oh, follow this opinion. No, this is not the talk today. What we're discussing here is only to get an idea, how do we end up with differences of opinions? What does it mean by that? Okay. So now, when we look at this from the hadith perspective, the criterion of the hadith that causes the difference of opinion, or the one for whom this hadith is not acceptable because of authenticity, that hadith then it can end up with a different rule compared to the ones who consider this is an authentic hadith. Okay. Similarly, now we move on to the next part of it, which is differences in the legislative sources, which is differences in Sahabas Ridwanullah alayhim opinions as individuals. So some scholars actually, they consider that one Sahabi's opinion as a legislative source. We talked about this a bit when we were talking about Ijma' Sahaba, and we talked about that the Sahabi's opinion cannot be taken as the source of as a legislative source. But there are mujtahideen who accept Sahabi's opinion, a Sahabi or multiple Sahabis. I'm not talking about the Ijma'. Ijma' means the consensus of the Sahaba. And we know that Sahabas can differ, and of course that they cannot be differing or opposing rulings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But here what we're talking about is when some scholars, they take a Sahabi's opinion as source of evidence, and while the others don't. So hence you can end up with two different opinions in cases where a person is taking opinion of a Sahabi as a source. See, remember, when I say source, what I mean by that is you take it as the one to be extracting another rule out of it. Now, following a Sahabi's opinion is no different than you're following opinion of Imam Abu Hanifa, or Imam Shafi'i, or Maliki, or any of the scholars' opinions from that understanding. So you can follow the opinion of a Sahabi. See, but to take Sahabi's opinion and extract new rule out of that, that's what it means by making it a source. Like hadith is the source, a legislative source. So you can extract rules out of the hadith. So can you take Sahabi's opinion as a legislative source? That's a point of contention among the mujtahideen. Okay, so that can cause another difference of opinion. Now, the same way, difference in the practice of the qiyas. Some of the scholars do not take qiyas, while they take istihsan in replacement of that. And we have talked about the issue of istihsan and about the qiyas in the past. So again, if they differ about that, they can end up with a different opinion as well. Now, differences in legislative sources, for example, difference in ijma'. So as we have talked about that, so some of the things I'm just referring back to previous talks what we have discussed, so I don't have to go repeat the whole things. And I would suggest that if you need more details of that, you can always go back to previous talks as well. And inshallah, you will be able to get some of the answers if you're looking for about just the terminologies and stuff. But I will try to explain as much as I can within this limited time, and a new term comes, or we have used this term in the past, but we may have forgotten. And the brother who are taking care of putting that on the YouTube, they have placed part numbers for all the talks now, alhamdulillah, so it's easier to go in sequence if you want to listen, or if you want somebody else to listen to those talks, so you can start from the part 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So the sequence helps actually to understand as well. And if you have missed something, also you can go back and check, inshallah. So when you talk about ijma', ijma' means consensus, and there are differences of some people take ijma' sahaba, which is the most accurate opinion, because ijma' sahaba are the one above it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that Allah is pleased with them, and they are pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as collectively all the sahaba. So they are they cannot make a mistake as a collection or combined as with the consensus. So ijma' sahaba, some scholars the Sahaba follows ijma' of the Sahaba. Others, they go by ijma' of Ahl Medina, or ijma' of the Mujtahideen, and ijma' al-Ummah, and on and on. So that can again cause differences among the scholars when they are concluding an opinion. Fifth thing is differences in other legislative sources. So if you recall that we talked about legislative sources which are definite, and while there were some of them were non-definitive. like we talked about the maslaha al-mursala or istihsan or shar'un min qablina, which is the sharia or the laws which were revealed to the previous prophets, and some other ones that we discussed. I think we discussed about 7 or 8 of them. And if a scholar differs in that, for example, if he follows maslaha al-mursala, maslaha al-mursala meaning that you're following the benefit as a source of evidence. Again, the one who are following, their evidences are not definitive, and hence we cannot take it. But I'm just trying to show here what causes the differences of opinion. So this contributes to more differences among the Sahaba. Now, move on to second part of it, which is differences in interpreting the text itself. Some people, which are referred as literalists, or the whole, actually a group of people, they are called Zahiris. Zahiris means they abide by, or they follow the Zahiri. Zahiri means the apparent meaning of the text. Instead of going deeper and understanding what the text meant, they just go by the apparent meaning. And the other group of the people are those who saw deeper meanings in the text. Okay, so Ahlul Ra'i are different than the one who are the Zahiris. They go in the deeper in the text. Like, for example, if you recall, one of the examples that we have used quite a bit regarding the differences of opinions, the hadith of the Sahaba who were ordered by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to go to Banu Qurayza and do not pray Salatul Asr until they reach Banu Qurayza. And while they were on their way to Banu Qurayza tribe, the time of Salatul Asr was going to expire. Hence, the Sahaba, the group of Sahaba, they said we have to pray Asr, because otherwise the time will expire. Other group said, but Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, don't pray Salatul Asr until you reach Banu Qurayza. So the first half of the group, the one who was insisting on the Salah, they took the command differently than the one who were insisting that they will pray only when they reach Banu Qurayza. So the one who was saying they will pray Salatul Asr when they reach Banu Qurayza, they were taking the apparent meaning or the literal meaning of the command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was don't pray Salatul Asr until you reach Banu Qurayza. While the other took the command in a metaphoric way, or they looked at the deeper meaning of it, they understood it as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam meant that don't pray Salatul Asr until you reach Banu Qurayza, meant that you reach Banu Qurayza, hurry up and get there before the time of Salatul Asr expires. So hence this is the kind of thing that can cause differences of opinions as well. Third one is the differences in methodology of Usul al-Fiqh. Now, there were differences interpreting the forms and types of commands. So this is something we talked about in the past, in the beginning of our sessions, when we were saying that every command, for example, to do something, does not entail that it is an obligation. And we have to go by the qarina, or whether it's a linguistic qarina or within the Quran or the Hadith, there is some indicators that shows that whether that specific command means an obligation, or the command is just a recommendation, or a command can be mubah as well. So hence that can cause also differences among the Sahaba. As Ibn Taymiyyah, for example, the issue of the beard, Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn Hazm said that it is fard, while this somehow got to the wrong line. Ibn Qudama, Shawkani, and Nawawi, and Qadi Iyad said it is recommended. So let me just fix it here so we don't have it wrong. Okay. So, oops. So Ibn Qudama, Shawkani, and Nawawi, and Qadi Iyad said it is recommended. And while recommended means it's mandub, it's a sunnah, while Qadi Abu Bakr, Ibn Arabi, and Imam Qurtubi, their opinion was that it is only permitted, meaning mubah. So you can see the command is about the beard, and there is a different of opinion among the scholars. I'm not sure if I'm still sharing. It seems like it stopped for some reason. Okay. Now, So this is what I was talking about, that differences in methodology of usul al-fiqh can also end up in differences of opinions. So again, a reminder, this is about the differences that can be triggered by different reasons. Now, fourth one is about the differences in understanding the Arabic language. This may be due to different understanding of Arabic text, where it offers more than one meaning. As an example, and we have discussed that example in the past as well for different reasons. The purpose of that mentioning here is so we get an idea of how these differences can occur. For example, when Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوء, the divorced women should wait for a period of 3 quru. Linguistically, the word quru can be understood with two meanings which are opposite to each other. One meaning is that it means the time of the purity of the woman, while the other one is impurity time. Now, the one who takes the purity time period, they will end up with number of days which means is the divorced woman should wait for a period of 3 quru, which is when the divorce happens, we know there's a time of iddah. Iddah is a waiting period, and then that waiting period may differ by a few days. I think that they can be from 7 to 15 days period of time. They can have a difference based on who's going by the quru, means the time of 3 impurity periods or time of 3 purity, the time which is purity time period for the woman. So again, it's by the because of the language. Now, before I go into the attitude or the how to deal with the differences of opinion, I want to make sure one thing that is clear here. I want what we're discussing here was the reasons for differences of opinions among the mujtahideen. It doesn't mean that mujtahid, or even the one who is a muqallid, the one who follows a person, a mujtahid, you don't jump back and forth. That today I understand that, for example, the word quru means time impurity, and tomorrow I say no, it means impurity because it's easier for me. Unless you really understood that previous opinion was wrong, incorrect, and today I understood, came to the conclusion this was a better opinion, I'm going to follow this one from now on. Of course, that is fine. That's not the issue. But same thing goes for the hadith, because the scholars actually, they looked at, and they have said that about their opinions like this. If you find a hadith or that contradicts my opinion, then throw my opinion and follow what the hadith says. So we are supposed to follow the right opinion. That's the key thing. It's not the issue of difference of opinion means we can just jump back and forth whenever we feel like, whenever we find the ease, and on and on. So it should be done in a way that we are looking for the most accurate opinion, and you stick with that. And we'll talk about that as well also, that how to when we can move from one opinion to another opinion, or when it is a must for us to leave our opinion and for the other opinion, and how we can cause create the harmony between all the opinions. And this seemingly sometimes has been used against the Muslims, or to just create fitna among the people, Muslims also. Oh, look, you cannot agree on that. But we'll see that there is no issue at all actually to have differences of opinions, inshallah. I mean, it can cause trigger problem, but if we don't do it properly. Okay, like attitude towards mujtahid's own opinion. For example, if a mujtahid, he concludes his own opinion, we see that, first of all, we find many differences among the Sahaba, the generation of Sahaba, which is the generation of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and the next generation, which is Tabi'in, and the generation after the Tabi'in, which is Taba Tabi'in. And we see that they had differences of opinion, and that was not an issue. And that could have, because of various reasons that we have discussed already, or we touched upon actually. So although a mujtahid, when he concludes that this is his opinion, but he looked at his opinion, is convinced by ijtihad they performed, that they nevertheless recognize the possibility that they can be wrong. Okay, they're not just saying my way or highway. They looked at their opinion as, yes, this is the most accurate opinion, but I can be wrong. And accordingly, the mujtahideen have started that whatever is correct in their work is from Allah, and the errors are from themselves. Okay. Now, so that's the attitude towards your own opinion. Now, what if the mujtahid concludes and make a mistake? Does that mean that he should just stop? He cannot make any more ijtihadat or something? No, that's not the case. As a matter of fact, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, إذا حكم الحاكم فاجتهد ثم أصاب فله أجران. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when a hakim or a mujtahid, he, in this case a ruler or a judge or a mujtahid, he makes an ijtihad, concluding an opinion about something, and he is correct, then he has to get to ajr. وإذا حكم فاجتهد ثم أخطأ فله أجر. So the one who makes a correct ijtihad, he gets 2 ajr. The one who makes a mistake, he gets 1 ajr. So that shows that we are not said this way that if you make a mistake, you don't have the right to make ijtihad anymore. No, as a matter of fact, you're still getting the hasanat for putting the effort. And this hadith is muttafaqun alayh, and we have discussed that muttafaqun alayh is one of the highest ranking hadith by authenticity perspective. I'm not saying this is the highest, but one of the highest way of looking at the hadith, that both Imam Muslim and Imam Bukhari have agreed upon the authenticity of the hadith, which means they both of them reported in their Sahihain, meaning Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. Okay, but at the same time, fine, you should not get you don't stop making ijtihad if you make a mistake. At the same time, ijtihad must be done with appropriate qualifications and knowledge. It cannot be just done by any Tom, Dick, and Harry. It has to be done by the person who is qualified and has knowledge about the subject. And there's also, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, there's a severe punishment for those who do ijtihad without being qualified to do so. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ, that pursue not that about which you do not have knowledge. إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا, that your hearing, your sight, your heart, all of them, okay, that they will be held accountable for whatever they have done on the day of judgment. So there's accountability about this. So we should not be just jumping to the conclusions and fighting about that. This is the way that Allah, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. We have to acquire the knowledge and the qualifications to conclude the ijtihad. Okay. Now, other aspect of it, attitude towards difference of opinion. What should be our attitude when we see difference of opinion? First of all, one should not consider another opinion as being un-Islamic simply because it is different from yours, okay, or different from the opinion that you have adopted, whether it's yours or you have adopted. Rather, we should give other opinion. This is the way you're supposed to look at it, right? That you look at the opinion you're following, or whether it's your opinion or you find the opinion of some mujtahid, a scholar, that this opinion is the right opinion with this understanding that this can be wrong. Again, I'm talking about ijtihad, I'm not talking about the qat'i rulings of Islam, okay, which has no other meaning but one. This is about the one way we can have differences. So about that, we say that is that person has the, you look at your opinion as you're right, but you can be wrong, while you look at the other opinion as they're wrong, but they can be right. But at the same time, each opinion that we're talking about has to have their, they have to present a dalil, okay? Without the dalil, just saying I differ has no value in Islam. That kind of opinion must be rejected actually. You have to have a dalil, you have to have a evidence for the ruling that you're following, or that you have concluded, okay? So it is necessary for every scholar to produce his dalil in support of an opinion. We should ask them. Anybody who's presenting opinion, we should ask them. And this brings the this puts the confidence, even the hearts of the believer, of the Muslims, also that what they're following is based off what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. Okay, so opinions without evidences are baseless and should be rejected. Remember that. Okay, now this view towards other opinions will ensure correct Islamic attitude. Look, again, I'm saying, you look at your opinion as the correct opinion, but this understanding you can be wrong, and you look at the other opinion as they are wrong, with this understanding they can be right. We're talking about mujtahideen when they're looking at each other's opinion, and even the followers are looking at the opinions of the mujtahideen, okay, the one they are following. Now that's the attitude number one. Now, is that attitude enough? Can we just okay, now everything is good, hunky-dory after that, because okay, I understand that how to deal with it? No, that's not sufficient actually. So there will be many different opinions as to what the Hukm Shar'i is. In many instances, there will not be a problem, but there can be ones, there can be problems. Now, how do you deal with that? So look, we as human beings and as Muslims as well, we have three different kinds of relationships. relationship with ourselves, for example, the way we do the ibadah of our own, the individual ibadat that we do, the act of worships directly. Okay, everything is ibadah as a Muslim, of course, but we distinguish about the act of ibadah, which is the action that we're doing directly for Allah Azza wa Jal. Even our other muamalat, which is the dealing with other people, is also for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we make sure that we are pleasing Allah. But that's considered as muamalat because this is a transaction with the other fellow beings. Now, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. Okay, so now when it comes to ibadat, that does not really cause any problem. But when it comes to, for example, ibadat and muamalat, not the muamalat, sorry, the malbusat, for example, how you dress or what you eat, and all those things are individual, so that does not cause any problem. Also, the ibadat also, and the dealing of yourself with yourself. The real problem happens when you're dealing with others and you differ in opinions. Now, how do you deal with that? Because you believe that your opinion is correct, and you cannot just let it go just because somebody else came with a different opinion. You have to follow what you have. Now, in that case, Islam actually gives us a way to deal with it. That and like, for example, the issue of moon sighting we talk about every year that goes on, or when the Ramadan starts, when the Ramadan ends, or how to elect a leader among the Muslim Ummah as a Khalifa, the one who unites the Ummah. Now, these things you have to know how to deal with it, and Islam actually gives us a way to that. For example, there's an ijma' of the Sahaba about that, for example, the authority that Islam defines authority, which is the Khalifa or the Amir al-Mu'mineen or the believers, that if he adopts an opinion, so you can have difference of opinions, but he adopts one of them. Now, in that case, all the Ummah has to follow it. That's a must for us. So that takes care of the issues where we can differ. Because the principle is Amrul Imam yarfa al-khilaf, that Imam's decree settles the disagreement. Similarly, Amrul Imam nafid zahiran wa batinan, that the Imam's decree is executed openly and privately. So there is no difference of opinion about the subject, that the command of Imam has to be followed. And we can see in the seerah, there were examples. For example, in the time of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anh, his understanding regarding distributing the spoils of wars, or distributing certain things among the Muslimin, his understanding was it should be given equally, and this is how he implemented. Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh, he disagreed with him, but because Abu Bakr was the Amir al-Mu'mineen, it was the Khalifa to Rasul at that time, Umar had no choice but to follow it, and he followed until Abu Bakr was the leader among the Ummah. When Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh, he became the Khalifa, he did not follow the understanding of Abu Bakr. Then he followed his opinion, because his understanding was that the ones who fought against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam do not deserve to have the same kind of treatment when it comes to this kind of a distribution of the wealth as the ones who never fought, and they fought along Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is how he did not give. He gave them more, the one who were present in the Ghazwatul Badr or Uhud, and on and on, and they never fought against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam compared to the ones who fought against Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in that case, Umar followed as long as Abu Bakr was Khalifa. Once he became Khalifa, then he had the free will to follow his opinion. Okay. Now these differences of opinion do not equate to disunity. Some other people think this way, and this difference of opinion should not be viewed. First of all, it should not be viewed as a weakness. And we have, as we have seen, Muslims have had varying opinions in many issues since the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not something new that has happened today. Okay. And we talked about the story of Banu Qurayza, and Sahaba went back to Rasulullah and mentioned to him. Rasulullah did not rebuke any of them. Okay. Now, as long as the opinion is based on Islamic evidences, this opinion does not contradict an assured law. It should be respected as an Islamic opinion. That's the key thing. Now, how to achieve the unity with differences of opinion? The way to achieve unity is not by suppressing different opinions. It's not an issue that you go and suppress that in my way and there's no other way but to follow me. No, rather, actually, or to say there cannot be no madahib among the Muslims. No difference of opinion among the Muslims. No, that's not the way it was done, and this is not the way it should be done. Rather, it should be done by having a leadership that unites the ummah, which is the Khalifa, and makes the decision which opinion to adopt in key issues. He only adopt those opinions in key issues, not everything, rather on the issues that are needed to be adopted, so those differences of opinion do not cause any kind of friction among the believers. And this is the way to achieve the unity. And many times it has been presented, well, look, that guy, he's a Deobandi, he's not praying behind Barelvi. Barelvi is not praying behind the Deobandi, or that person is Shia, that one is Sunni, or this person is Ahl Hadith, and this person is that Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi. And hence, how can you talk about unity? This is not the issue. Okay, the issue is that what causes the unity. Difference of opinions existed from time of Rasulullah and throughout the 1400 years of Islam. The point is how to deal with it. And the dealing is that it's not that you suppress the opinions and then you will come up with one unified ummah. Rather, actually, you have to have a leader over the ummah that unites the ummah. And on key issues which are needed, he can adopt those issues. Does not mean that he's just suppressing all the other issues. You can still continue to have your opinion under, like Umar bin Khattab during the time of Abu Bakr. He kept his opinion, but he practiced Abu Bakr's opinion at that time because it was a command from the Amir al-Mu'mineen. And this is the way to bring the unity, not by suppressing the opinions. So just to summarize what we have discussed today, alhamdulillah, we were able to finish what I intended to. So we talked about what is the madhab, we talked about a few of the examples of the madahib, and then we talked about reasons of differences of opinions among the mujtahideen that include difference in legislative sources, difference in interpreting the text itself, difference in methodology of usul al-fiqh, difference in understanding language, and then we talked about how to deal with the differences of opinions. And I believe we can probably get more clarification on the last part of it if there are any Q&As on the subject. So inshallah, I'll open the floor for if there's any questions or comments on the subject that was discussed today. Inshallah, I'll try to address if I can. So I'll stop here.
There's one question in the chat.
Okay. Ikhtilaf al-matla' is based on Ibn Abbas' opinion. Does this mean taking his opinion as a legislative source? Okay. So the brother or sister whoever asked this question, let me clarify what the question is. Ikhtilaf al-matala' is saying is Ikhtilaf al-matala' mean the people who believe that local sighting is sufficient for or you can have local sightings of the moon at different locations, and you can start and end the Ramadan based on your local sighting. Now Ibn Abbas, the hadith of Ibn Abbas, which is mentioned, that talks about that Ibn Abbas said that we are going to follow Rasulullah's command that to do your own sighting, and that's an opinion of Ibn Abbas. It's not the saying of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in that case, this can be considered as the understanding of Ibn Abbas. Now, a person can follow if he believes that this is the right way to follow, of course. Then that can be considered as an opinion that can be followed. Okay. Now, I want to call it as a legislative source, as we have discussed previously. There can be difference of opinion with the ones who think that the opinion of a Sahabi can be taken as legislative source. See, again, I'm saying is this: the ones who believe that this is correct. But if you have concluded that this is not the right thing, it cannot be an opinion for you to follow. Okay, then you have to follow the opinion that you have ended up with. In those cases, yes, that person, for that specific person, that can be considered as an Islamic opinion. From our understanding, it's a weak opinion, but it is an Islamic opinion. Hence, they can follow the ones who are following that. But again, this can these kind of things can continue to exist until we have Amir al-Mu'mineen over us, Imam over us, Khalifa over us, the one who can adopt an opinion, and everybody has to follow that opinion. Okay. On top of that, we cannot say that calculation can be followed, because that contradicts the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. So we cannot take the contradictory things which are not from the Shara and say, oh, this is also an Islamic opinion. No, this cannot be respected as an Islamic opinion because it contradicts the Hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and does not have the basis from the Quran and Sunnah to say that it is acceptable. So yes, this can be considered as that. We can consider as weak, but it can be considered as this right one of the opinions of Islam.